Everything hidden in today's announcements. This is all I noticed, brothers, but there could be more. All this info comes from the roadmap, Sabres community update, Warhammer community update. Mark 7 helmet is shown in a picture in the WCU, the Warhammer community update. New Mark 6 Beak helmet variant, pauldron and chainsaw skin, also in the Warhammer community update. I saw that one. Okay, so hold on. Before I continue, I have noticed some people kind of get confused with what they were showing. I think anything that was like an in-game, capture, anything like that, obviously we can speculate. However, they showed a lot of photos that were just like general Warhammer, like vibe photos. There's one where we had a captain facing off against an alpha Tyranid. What's funny is I think a lot of people are starting to think we're getting Terminators as well, but that photo is taken straight from the from the starter set for the tabletop, and I know because I have the same starter set and recognize the same photo. So no, the captain versus the alpha Tyranid, the winged alpha Tyranid. I forget what it's called, to be honest. I haven't really looked at my Tyranid army for a long time. But yeah, seriously, that is definitely just a photo from the tabletop, which is pretty funny. So some of these pictures you shouldn't really speculate on, but like in-game captures of like a Space Marine fighting Tyranids, that's fine. Which, yes, I saw the beak helmet with the chainsaw skin as well, and yeah, that just looks really, really good. I definitely think you can speculate on that. A picture in Sabre's community update shows a Vanguard shooting what seems to be a Stormbolter with a new skin, probably one of the new heroic gun variants. Yes, I've seen that as well. I'm not too sure what to think about that, but still, the entire system between the new levels of weapons, I'm just going to call them new levels. Like, I understand they're a tier, but let's be honest, so we're leveling the weapons up to get to that tier. It feels like a new level. Ultimately, I'm definitely very excited for what we have in store for that. We're definitely going to be checking out whatever they ended up showing for those. But yeah, I'm very curious to see how they're going to perform. He's also wearing the Phobos helmet, leaked a while ago. Nice, a lot of people were very interested on that, so good that we have confirmation that the devs are interested in, using it for the game. The Vanguard in Year 2 video is using a new chess piece. In the Year 2 video, 2 pictures show Terminators and Ultramarine fighting a Tyranid and 2 Salamanders. It could be a tease, but it's probably just a coincidence, as Saber uses a lot of different Warhammer arts. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, I mean, dude, the Phobos helmet, obviously making an appearance, was probably pretty huge for people. Yeah, obviously, we're going to get more next tier of weapons. What's kind of weird, though, is like they put out the Xenophase, right? The Xenophase blade, and then they also showed the Combi Melta. So those are 2. So is everyone just going to be using combi meltas and Xenophase blades when they get them? I mean, everyone's going to be using the same weapon because there's only 2 of the next tiers available. That's going to be pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, honestly, it's still going to be very, very cool to see. I imagine maybe they're just going to add more than 2 when they end up doing that. But yeah, let's go into the comments. Let's see what other people found out as well. I think looking for any sort of Easter eggs is definitely a fair way to look at this, because I imagine there's definitely 1 or 2 things that they either mistakenly shown or they were trying to aim at showing some Easter eggs here and there. Mark III helmet from the Imperial Fist Champion without the plume. Yes, and this is obviously the assault class as well, with the axe, which is very cool. And the Inferno pistol. Dude, that looks amazing. That looks really good. Man, I can't believe how many people thought that we weren't going to get the Pyroblaster in patch 10, and yet they just delivered way more. They delivered on stuff we were speculating about that we weren't even sure they were able to pull off. The champion skin customization. I did a video of this like a couple days ago, maybe even more than that. And there's a fair amount of people who were like, dude, we're not getting this. We're not getting this until like next year, yada, yada, yada. And at the same time, I understand, like I thought the same thing kind of, but I did understand that the devs mentioned this a couple patches ago. And I thought it was kind of odd to mention something a couple patches ago, only to deliver it months down the line. I mean, maybe it's not odd. Maybe it's just, I don't know. It wasn't within the pacing of the devs. Normally the devs, when they mention something, it's like they're trying to build up hype. At least that's the way I'm looking at it now, because they definitely definitely were kind of hinting at things here and there, and then just added it all into one big patch. And I think that was the way to go. I think that was the way to go. Kept us guessing, and then still delivered more. I love to see that. I love to see that. So I'm very happy that we're going to be able to customize our Space Marines with the Imperial Fist champion pieces, and specifically this assault class right here looks very, very good. So yeah, I'm excited to see that. I'm definitely interested to see what we are going to be able to mix up. I might even just try to, try to make as freakishly non-lore based, I'm just going to grab Imperial Fist, Dark Angel stuff. I'm going to see what I can kit bash together. I don't believe that's a Stormbolter. It only has one mag. Yeah, I thought the same thing. I wasn't too sure what they were referring to, but ultimately I have seen this photo, and some people are like, oh, this is a bolt pistol, whatever. Dude, I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is. It does look like it's automatic. I think there's 2 barrels. Sheesh, man. This definitely could be another tier, another tier above relic weapon. I'm very curious to see what this actually is. Now, it also could just be a skin, but like, dude, it's kind of odd that this weapon looks like it functions differently than every other handgun we have. Like, am I like kind of thinking too far outside the box here? Because to me, this looks like an SMG. This looks like a sub. This looks like a submachine gun. This does not look like the heavy bolt pistol. This does not look like the bolt pistol. This doesn't look like the Neo-Volkite, the Inferno pistol. So I don't know what this is. If this is like a Stormbolter but like cut in half, that would be interesting. But this also kind of looks like a submachine gun. So I'm really not too sure what the devs are cooking up with this. But see, this is exactly what I'm talking about with the Easter eggs. Like they just showed this. They just showed this, and then we're like, "Hey, man, speculate on it. I'd like to see it. I like to see it." Wait, so we get Terminators eventually one day? No, we are not. Okay, look, I've seen a lot of people kind of joke around with suggesting things like Terminators or even librarians for the most part. I have seen people mention that chaplains are unlikely as well because they're limited. So I mean, what does that leave us for a second new class? It's Apothecary, probably, right? Terminators are just way too large, at least in my opinion. I'm not too sure if the devs are interested in increasing the size of our character models. And honestly, if they had a Terminator that wasn't very Terminator-like, that would be unfortunate as well. I wouldn't hold my breath for Terminators. I just wouldn't. I've seen a lot of people still like also want to see Terminators, but I see a fair amount of people mention them because they are likely to be way too overpowered for what we are doing in the game currently as far as what mechanics we have. Like, honestly, a Terminator would also be pretty slow. Could you imagine playing an operation where it's like you and another player are consistently ahead of the Terminator because the Terminator's like walking behind you guys? That would be rough. I have seen the mods. The mods do look good, but still, the Terminator is definitely hard to balance. You pretty much have to agree at some point with that, because either the Terminator is going to be too big, in which case they gotta make it smaller, in which case it's just not as satisfying. The Terminators, also, at least the Terminators I have, all have Stormbolters. So with the Stormbolter being mentioned quite a bit in this, the Terminators spawning in with the Stormbolter is probably going to be very powerful. It's literally a double handgun that's automatic, right? Like, Stormbolters are insane. So not only would you be tankier than the heavy, you'd also put out more damage than the heavy, but you'd be slower, I guess. I mean, dude, that just doesn't sound satisfying to me, to be completely honest. I think if we're going to go for a second new class, Apothecary is the best bet. But overall, Tech Marine might have a lot of support as well. Maybe the Tech Marine kind of has some sort of Apothecary-like perks. We will see. But ultimately, Terminators, I would not hold my breath on that. I've seen a lot of people mention that the Year 2 update showcased Terminators, and they didn't. They did not. It was just one photo. So yeah, I'm glad we clarified that, because in one hand, for the Easter eggs, there's a lot to speculate and there's a lot to, obviously factor in for the future. However, with that, some people get a little bit, they kind of take their eyes off the goal a little bit because obviously the devs are showing pictures of Terminators fighting Tyranids, during the sections where they're kind of like moving the topic along. So it wasn't supposed to be like a focus of that part, is what I'm trying to say, basically. So here I am here to manage expectations. There was some stuff that they kind of hinted at in the trailers and the updates. However, there's definitely some people kind of embellishing a little bit of what they were showcasing around Terminators. There are not going to be Terminators in this game. That's how I feel. At least personally. Unless you want a mod, which is fine. Honestly, the Terminator mod is good. But yeah, I can imagine for like the actual vanilla game, it would be hard to balance. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you guys noticed anything that nobody talked about or anything like that. Let me know in the comments if there's an Easter egg that you noticed. But yeah, overall, I'm very excited. There's a lot to speculate here, so I wanted to get all the Easter eggs under one umbrella here. And I do think there was a fair amount of like weapon skins and stuff. Like, dude, people already thinking about like the Stormbolter, and it was obviously not a Stormbolter when you zoom in. It's very good to clarify that. But still, I would like to see a Stormbolter in this game one day, but maybe it's too powerful. Maybe. But yeah, let me know in the comments how you guys feel about this. And thanks for watching.